know once you start, there's no going back. This means total commitment. Once you begin the path, there is no leaving the path. Are you sure you're ready for that?
Alright, so I decided to just take the time to dive into some things that I don't usually speak about. Some things that I really only thought about since I was a child and shit like that, and things I only really share with a small group of people, because it seemed to be only a small group of people on this whole fucking planet that even think outside the box or have a urge to have a higher awareness of themselves and consciousness and shit like that, and be conscious of things outside the realm of what they already know. You feel me? So I'm starting to realize, like, when I be coming on the podcast or the channel, whatever the case may be, I realize I'm still trying to explain things and talk in concepts and simplify things to a level where almost the average person that might have a little urge to reach a higher consciousness could grasp. Because I don't really want to try to be too complex. I think it's enough of that shit going around. But at the same time, I realize, like, yeah, I can't cater to a certain consciousness or feel like I want to put shit on a level where a certain type of person could get it. Like, if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. Like, click the next thing. And I got to get past that and got to get over that. Because it's a lot of things that I've been pondering since I was a child. And I feel like I know I ain't the only one. So, I feel like it's a must I speak on it. And like I said, I'm starting to really realize, like, yo, a lot of people are numb. A lot of people is numb to just expansion. Like, the average person seems to only be able to live in a certain capacity, in a certain realm of themselves. Like, a lot of people are not multidimensional, and I'm talking about a lot of people. Because it's a real a mass awakening that seems to be happening. But it's a large amount of people in this world. You feel me? So I be wondering sometimes, like, damn, why is it that me and maybe a few others have a certain type of urge for a higher or deeper level of depth within ourselves and within information, and just the shit just multi-dimensional? Why is it that we had this urge and a lot of people that you meet don't? So you might meet somebody and y'all might be conversing or whatever the case may be, and y'all might be talking about things that's kind of like mainstream, surface level, and things like that. And then as soon as you try to take the conversation a little bit deeper, as soon as you try to talk about something that's multifaceted, it seems to be like it's a shut-off button when you do that. And I know it's a lot of concepts floating around, like NPCs, like non-playable characters, and things like that, meaning people like really basically don't have a soul kind of perspective. Now, if we talking about people not having a soul or people being non-playable characters, I just look at it like, yo, if your capacity is limited, then you're not a really truly that much of a reflection of the nature of life in the universe, which is expansion. So I'd be like, okay, what is the purpose for a lot of people's life? I'll be wondering why they don't even have the urge to ask that question, like, what is the purpose of my life? That they meaning for life be seeming very surface level. Like, let me give you an example. Like, and I know a lot of y'all feel like this too. Like, you always been on the outside looking in, right? So even when I'll go back and I look at people that I went to high school with and shit like that, right? So I had friends and I didn't have friends and I grew up with people and things like that. But we all know at some point you outgrow people, or if you don't outgrow them, y'all just grow apart and y'all go y'all separate ways, and you might have one or two real people you might could keep in contact with within a journey. Maybe I might be wrong, because I'm an introvert and I'm antisocial to a certain extent. Anyway, so it's like maybe that's just me, but I find it very hard to just stay in the same realm with people, especially if I'm growing in consciousness. You feel me? And they not really seeming to be growing in consciousness or have that urge to grow in consciousness. So I look at people that, they go to elementary school together. So that means they've been eating lunch since elementary school. Then they went to high school eating lunch together, having class together, playing on the same basketball, football teams, doing everything together. Then they go to the same college, and then they go to each other's wedding, and then they be, and it'd be like a group of people though. I done seen people like literally grow from when they was super young, and I'm like, okay, cool, that's good, y'all, unity, I'm all for it. But how do y'all do that? Like, how y'all keep tabs on each other like that? How y'all don't really kind of venture off and have y'all own journey? You know what I mean? People that just kind of stay in the same place in the same spot and just hang with that same crowd. Like, I don't know. It's just that, to be honest with me, it's just a weird thing. And I got friends that's from like 20 years ago, 25 years, people I know my whole life, but it's always times where we definitely separate for years. And some of them we might be together in spirit. We might kick it. And be them type of people that we don't have to be up under each other to actually truly be friends. I think a real friendship is when people is in the same space even when they're apart. You feel me? So when I say that, I mean like you really on the same kind of wave of consciousness and frequency that I'm on, and we kind of have our own purpose and shit like that, and we striving, and what we have in common is we expanding, right? So because we doing that, we gonna always kind of meet in the middle, because the truth bring everything together. But for a large amount of people, it's like, damn, the truth don't seem to be enticing. It seems to be scary to people. So I question, why not the urge for more? Why not the hunger for more? Why this numbness to this shit? So then when I look at it, I'll be like, I see how in my life throughout life periods, you could go into a phase of just feeling like outside or the outside looking in, and I'll be thinking it's orchestrated that way. Because for those of us that like really be getting into deeper aspects of life, of ourselves, of consciousness, of spirituality and things like that, like we really just drawn to it. Like we always been like that. We always been the person that go and look a little deeper, go and read a little harder, go and just always have to know. You have that knack to, you gotta know. You just gotta know. You wake up to know. If you know, you know. You feel me? I'm talking to those that know. So when you look at it like, damn, okay, I got this urge, and a lot of people in my family don't, or a lot of people in my community don't, and then when you look on the larger collective scale, a lot of people, the results show that a lot of people they lack depth, that they lack the urge for it, or they like in a sleep state or something like that. And I know we all are awakening. I know, well, I don't know if we all awakening, but I know it's levels. I know you have to grow into shit, but like when I see that it's a lack of growth over time, like I could leave for 10 years and come back to my city or something like that, and I see a person still doing the same things, like, but more than anything, having the same mentality. I'm not judging that you might stay in the same state. Your circumstances is your circumstances. I know people that stay in the same area physically, but when their conversation change, the way they act, the way they decision making and shit like that, it changes. They mature, and then there's levels to maturity. And they seem, and when I'm talking about these type of people, they seem to only be able to really truly feed off the system that exists now. Like, if you take them outside that realm, even in just conversation, it is like a shed off. And I realized this too. I realized I gotta be careful with that with certain people. Like, I had in the past, I had people around me that try to get into some of the shit I'm into and want to know certain things and act like they want to know. And then once I give them something to chew on or introduce something new to them, a lot of people sometimes get lost in trying to filter things that's not for them out. And I didn't heard spiritual speakers like Bobby Hemming and things like that speak on, like, yo, you just gotta let the dead lie with the dead. And when he say dead, I guess, he mean like not physically dead, but just spiritually lacking the ability to grow. Almost as if you don't got a soul, almost as if you just stuck in a loop or a certain type of function, and your threshold for like growth is very low. Like, I can't, that's the best way I can explain it. We all know these type of people. I'm just not willing to be real super harsh on them, like, and just write them off as just like they don't matter. Because I feel like everybody matter, whether you so-called don't got a soul or you're an NPC or not. I just feel like, okay, they vote, they could help control a lot of the things that going on in especially society and shit like that. So it's like they do matter. Numbers matter in this world. So it's like, but I'm just speaking from a place of living within this shit. So as a child, I always wondered, like, okay, and this this the shit right here that if you know, you ever thought about, like, yo, you wonder if people really have an actual real life? Like, when they go home and reflect, like, really, do they go reflect? Do they go have interactions that build anything and shit like that? Or are they just inserted on my path to kind of point me in a certain direction? Like, they a real person. You might have been in their house. You might have met their mother and things like that. But it seemed like I didn't see people. It seemed like they don't grow unless I'm around to like animate their imagination or something. It seemed like sometimes you might be that only person that add that new thought to the box that everybody in, and you become like an outsider or become like a glitch and shit like that. Like, I really felt like that. Like, it just seemed like people just pop out of the closet and go back in the closet because, like I said, it'd be spooky because, like, they really don't change. And I'm like, how could you not change with all of this shit going on around you, with all of this pain, all of this lawlessness around you and shit like that? How could you just be numb to this to a point where it don't make you just immediately start searching deeper for the nature of things and the nature of life and the nature of the world you live in, and most of all, the nature of what and who you are? Because we gotta talk about the multi-dimensions of a soul and a spirit and a person. Like, yo, okay, we in human bodies, but our consciousness be in many places. We have imagination. We could think towards the future. We could think back to the past. We could create things in our minds. We could hear other voices if we want to. We could see other faces, shit like that. So, and we got that ability to do that, meaning be here physically and be in other spaces at other times consciously, and we multi-dimensional and shit like that. I'll be trying to wonder, like, why people don't activate that function within themselves on a daily basis. Why it don't never dawn on them that they multi-dimensional? And then I gotta ask, do they have the same ability that I have to even think outside the box and imagine some shit? Like, I think Ralph Waldo, I think this is his quote. I learned this quote from the rapper AZ, but I think it's Ralph Waldo quote. He said, some men see things the way they are and say, why? I see things that never was and say, why not? Feel me? So, I mean, most people see shit just how it is and fuck with it how it is. But I see shit and just be looking like, yo, why not? Why wouldn't I try to do that? Why wouldn't I try to invent that? Why wouldn't I dive into something new. I couldn't imagine staying doing the same old shit. And I even found this like in a so-called spiritual community and online, like it's on some shit like really a lot of people even minimize spirituality because they believe it's like an end of a road or something like that. They think they're going to come to some conclusion or become more or something. So a lot of people idea of spirituality and concept of spirituality is in a box that's still encapsulated inside of this construct and in this matrix, meaning it don't have no because they feel like they came to a conclusion, because they feel like it's a math course or some shit you could just go from point A to point B. They stop their journey, they stop their growth, they stunt their growth, and they feel like they got it already and they don't do nothing but feed their ego, and they're not able to be like original and just take a risk or take a chance. It'd be like robotic. Like I'm starting to see a lot of people online just keep saying the same cliche shit. They all sit in the same type of office. They all got the same type of background in their videos. It's like they all burning, sage and shit like that, and that's cool. But if that's your if that's your only concept of spirituality is like gemstones and whatever it is, African spirituality, whatever kind of spirituality it is, whatever category it falls in, the fact that it falls in the category limits it a little bit. Because what true spirituality is the exploration of yourself. When we talk about exploration, we talking about experimentation, we talking about experience, we talking about expansion. Period. So, in order to expand, in order to truly experience something, in order to do that, you have to really just be you gotta be fucking with the moment. You gotta be intentional. Like you wake up in the morning, not just to wake up, eat shit, go to sleep and repeat. You don't wake up just for that. Go to work, that's it. Okay, this is just life and that's the end. You don't do that. You really in the lab all the time. 24/7. That's real spirituality. Going to the grocery store, you still in your bag of experiencing and doing experiments with just life and just seeing how far and how wide and how vast you could go. Questioning shit from yesterday, like you got to question that version of you to see if that still fits for today. And I feel like it's a mass amount of people, like 90-something% of people that just, it is what it is. They take life for just what it is. And furthermore, I see firsthand that it's kind of dangerous to constantly deal with these type of people because the limitations cause them to like hold you back a little bit by default. So let me give you an example of that. You know what I mean? If a fish never been outside a fish bowl, it's going to think the fish bowl is the shit. You could put the fish bowl inside the ocean and that fish might never swim outside that bowl. You could be going past it outside this fish bowl like, yo, come out. But it's already got acclimated to the fish bowl. The fish bowl feed it a certain way. It's small and know its way around. So it's like, why would I go out there in that big old world, risk getting ate, risk anything but this normal environment that I have for myself, within myself and within the environment that I'm in? It's like that's their train of thought. So they don't want to experience nothing. They don't want to take a risk. They don't want nothing to do anything intentional. They just want to stay on autopilot. And for that reason, that's when I'm like, damn, do you got a soul? Because your soul gonna urge you and give you certain cues to have depth and look for things a little deeper. And you're gonna be able to experience real life and spirituality, real growth and expansion outside of just concepts, outside of just oh yeah, this mean that. Some shit you just gotta experience. Like I always say, pussy or sex for the women out there, just having sex. You feel what I'm saying? Or you know what sex feel like to you might not feel like to the next person. So I could tell a person like, hey bro, she got some good. She got some good. She got some good. But he ain't gonna know till he get it. And when he get it, he gonna have his own perspective on it. And vice versa, same for the ladies. So same thing like with food. Like I don't know how apple tastes to you. We might describe it the same and everything, but I will never know how it tastes to you. Certain things I just never know how it feels to you. So I feel like we come together on certain frequencies, and that's what make us have a understanding of ourselves on a higher level, to the point where, yeah, we might not taste an apple the same, but we still in the same realm and can see the multi dimensions of an apple. Not just see an apple for just an apple. Like a person might see an apple and have a consciousness and not realize it's food, like a baby. Like just think about that. Baby might look at an apple for the first time, not even know, like, damn, that's something to eat. That's something that's going to nurture me and shit like that. But a person that's expanded and matured a little bit, you start to understand, no, that's an apple. That's for me that's good for me. It tastes good. You know what I mean? Whatever. It's going to nurture my body. You get what I'm saying? It's like they stay in that infant stage. It's like they stay in the infant stage in consciousness. And I know they call them automatons and shit. I spoke on that in a video probably almost a year ago. But talk about people that's automatons, meaning they just on automatic movements. Like they don't have that many functions. Like all they talk about is the mainstream news and all the propaganda that go on, all the basketball games. And as soon as you step outside of that, it's kind of like they malfunction or they'll cut the energy down and shit by saying something that really don't got nothing to do with what you're talking about, to kind of throw the energy off, to make you not even want to say no shit like that no more. Oh, but this the world we live in. Like I'm just talking about on a day to day, and we looking on a big stage. When you talk about things that's going to expand a person's consciousness, and we always talking about truth. And when we talk about truth, we talking about something that already exists. That's what the truth is. It's something that already exists. You feel me? So when you start talking about shit like that, they start banning you, striking channels. You're going to get reprimanded in some type of way in this earthly realm. So I question, like, what is this numbness? And then, like I said, it could lead to you feeling misunderstood and shit. You feel me? And that drive a lot of people to certain things and certain other ways of just numbing themselves, because they just start feeling like everybody else around them is numb. You feel me? They start feeling like they can't be understood. Like no one understands my beauty. So, you know, and that's the thing about beauty, you feel me? Damn, I need some tissue. That's the thing about beauty, though. It's like they say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So I look at the word beauty, right? It's like the beauty is that thing about a person. It's their spirit. When you look up the word beauty, the core of it is the spirit of a person. But then it's the other definition for it too is, or the thing that pleasure the five senses. Things that's enticing to that, people would deem that beautiful. Things that look nice and appealing. So I feel like the world we live in is like, yo, the consciousness is very low with people, to the point that they just fuck with the outside of shit. They just fucking with the five senses, and they don't go to the sixth sense and the seventh sense. They don't start to think. They don't start to feel. They don't start to, you know what I mean? Like, get into anything deeper than what's already there. And then we talk about beauty far as the spirit, and far as that thing about a person is really like it take one to know one. So you'll find yourself only coming across a person that's truly an individual, because it take expansion to actually be an individual, because you would have to go outside of whatever the norm is, whatever the tradition is, whatever the system is, to actually be an individual. Other than that, you just by default placed in a group and placed in a certain set of functions, like I've been saying the whole time. When we talk about the beauty, we talk about that essence of a person. You could start to feel alone when nobody understands that shit. And you're going to feel like this till you really understand, yeah, you really is alone. But then you always find a person or two, a little tribe start to formulate where y'all all kind of resonate, y'all all on the same path even when y'all apart and shit like that, and then you can start to feel at home. But that don't seem to happen until you stop allowing your space, your time, and your energy to be taken up by small-minded people, by people that really don't have a essence. But they'll drain the essence out of you. They don't have nothing to pour into you. They're not calling you like, yo, I just had this realization, or I just read this book, or offering you nothing that's going to, keyword, expand you. Expand yourself, expand the world within you so you can expand the world around you. Bring some awareness to you. That's the most priceless thing you could have, is awareness. Because it don't make no sense to just go through some shit and not reap the benefits of the wisdom and the knowledge from it. And I see a lot of people going through pain. When I think about beauty, I think about pain. Because if the definition of beauty is pleasure, then on the other, to get to pleasure, you gotta fuck with some pain first. I don't want nobody just around me for the pleasures and shit like that. You gotta understand my plight. You gotta understand where I came from. You gotta understand why I appreciate what I appreciate. Why this is important to me. Why I am the way I am now, because of what I've been through. So you can understand me, but you ain't gonna be able to understand that beauty unless you already been down a similar road. And you don't have to go through the same exact things a person go through, but touch that same level of depth that they touching. You feel me? So then I'll be asking myself sometimes, like, damn, if this the case, if people so surface level, even they pain and the things that pain them is kind of limited too. I be wondering, like, damn, do some of us just feel deeper than others? And I know that's true for sure. And then and that be fucking the game up too. Like people be talking about being empathic and being non-empathic and shit like that, right? I just feel like depending on what a person been through, and like I said, how they look at that experience is what's going to make them transform or not. Some people get hurt and shit like that, and then they turn into the abuser. Some people get hurt, they might turn into an abuser for a little while, notice the error in their ways and some shit like that, and then grow from it and be an advocate against it and stuff like that. But you see the growth and expansion through the same type of experiences. Like, yeah, my heart been broke, your heart been broke too. It might have fucked your life up to the point where you never overcame it and overstood it to a point it could be useful for you, is what the fuck I'm saying right now. Like I'm saying, I don't understand why I don't never just speak in these kind of terms a lot of times, just kick it. And I got to start doing this a little bit more often and kind of just get this impression out of my mind and off my energy that I'm trying to speak so somebody could catch up with some shit or whatever the case may be. You either in these spaces, you either curious about this shit or you not. The fuck? You know what I mean? And I feel like that's when you become an individual, when you get to the point that you just you, and whoever resonates, just resonate. And you're not trying to fit into no group. You're not trying to be a certain way. So yeah. We living in a numb world on so many levels, though. And we always got little tricks and little ways that we numb ourselves to what's really going on, me included. Like, I'm the first person. Everybody got their little vices, whether it's food, TV, sleep. It's always a way to avoid some shit. And I feel like when you just stay on a path of conformity and taking what's given to you and only staying on the surface, that's a level of escapism. Or you're avoiding going on a path that might not be already paid for you. Because there's going to be bumps and bruises and losses and confusion. You got to figure your own way out, and ain't no support there and shit like that. So I feel like a lot of percent of the world just stay on the wide path. Like, you got everything set for us. 9-to-5 job over here, insurance over here, credit over, like, just stay in that realm right there. And never want to have that urge, yo. And so there's so many distractions and shit in this realm. And when people pay attention to shallow shit that don't really have no depth to it, and they fill themselves up with that, what you think they gonna talk about when they get around you? What you think their conversation gonna be like? You think they just about to get around you and start getting real deep or something like that? They about to really introduce something that's abstract to you or something? And don't get it fucked up. Don't get it fucked up. You could learn something from anything. You could learn something just from hearing something. You could learn something just from glancing at it at the right time and shit like that. So everything has the ability to help expand you. That's what everything around you is for. Definitely including people. Because a lot of times a person's lack of awareness could bring more awareness to you. Like, you shouldn't be repeat the same exact things your ancestors did. You seen what they went through, so you know better than to do it. It's kind of like that. Life is just that. It's simple in that. It's complex, but it's simple in that kind of way. So I don't be understanding how people just keep repeating the same things over and over and over again. You keep running into a ordinary pain, like it's just regular, like it's the common pain. Like everybody got the same common story. Yeah, so every rapper, everything. I went through this. Get rich or die trying. Yo, I started from nothing. Now I'm trying to make it to something. Like it's the same. Okay. Like, all right. It's the same dance, same story, different person. To the point where we literally got apps like TikTok and shit like that, and we got all of these little challenges and dances to where everybody does the same exact thing, yo. We literally living in a world where everybody's spending their time to do the same things. So who's doing different shit? Who's actually creative? Who's actually an individual? Like, where are they? You feel me? It's like at this point, it's undeniable. I ain't saying you a bot or something just because you've got a TikTok or you indulge in the challenges and the dances. Trust and believe, I got my times where I go look for the bullshit. I go look for the ignorant shit to laugh at and indulge in, because it's a part of me, a certain part of me that still fuck with that shit. I'm from the hood first and foremost, like, so there's certain things I still identify with. I'm gonna always identify with that's going humor me, that's gonna hurt me and all kind of shit. You feel what I'm saying? Like, it hurt to see that a person lived to be 50 years old and shit like that and still had the same level of consciousness to where they never really experienced nothing new. And it's like watching a person live in hell. Like when a person just tell that same story over and over again. Yo, woe is me. Oh my God. This happened when I was young and my father wasn't there and shit like that. And I'm somebody that I ain't never meet my father. I ain't never see a picture of him. He ain't never leave a shirt behind, nothing. You feel me? My mother ain't raised me. She just was going and coming. I mean, I was raised by my grandmother, so, and she ain't have that much attention for me neither. So I never used that as an excuse to underachieve or be mediocre. Ever. I never used that as my backstory. Like, yo, if I talk about it, that was my life, and that's a part of my life, and I'm not ashamed, and I appreciate that part of me, because it's a part of who I am, make me who I am, because though I took it and transmuted the energy. Instead of letting it break me, I let it make me. You feel me? And that's the difference between those of us that's like that and people that just perpetuate just blindness, ignorance. Don't bring nothing new to the world. Just pollute this shit. You feel me? I don't really be knowing how to feel about that. Be honest with you. Some days I don't know how to feel about it, so I'm just wondering, do anybody else feel like that? Making sure I leave something behind for a person that had these same similar thoughts and similar feelings. Like, I really just don't know. But I'm looking around and I see people that I knew for my whole life that was older than me, that's hitting 50 years old, that's going into their 60s, and their behaviors didn't change. I mean, that their decision making didn't really change, so their circumstances didn't change. And when I talk to them or come across them, they telling the same story. Then when I listen to their story, I'm like, oh shit, your story sound like everybody else's story. Wow. You the victim of this story. You the unfortunate one. If it wasn't for that, you would have been here. You would have did this. So it's like you just living in a freezer. You just live within the realm of your traumas and the realm of whatever you see as your shortcomings. How long are you going to see that as your shortcoming? When that's going to change into your strength? When that's going to change into something you could accept and shit like that? When that's going to change into, well, you know what? I've been through this. This the unique thing about me. When you going to look at it like that? When you going to change your perspective and have a different point of view? That's what I'll be waiting for. And I guess I'll be waiting for never worry, because it's very rare, very rare, when you meet a person that the greatest thing of their day or the greatest thing of their life is not material. The idea of success is not based on what the majority of people in the world look at as success, like dumb shit like money and clothes and cars and traveling and how you look and shit like that. If that's all things that feed the five senses, and the five senses make up the ego. You feel what I'm saying? So if you only feeding that, then you starving your soul. So it'd be like, damn, it's no growth there. So why would I want to be in the same vicinity as you? Why would I want to be accepted as you? So a lot of us got to be careful. Like, I started this podcast off saying, yo, I notice I be trying to just keep shit on a certain level, so a person that's trying to get it can kind of bite. Nah, I gotta speak for people that are already there and they get it already. I can't, it might only be a few, y'all, but I can't sit up here and cater to the majority and just leave the real ones behind. You feel what I'm saying? Leave the real ones out. Because a lot of times you come across content like this or other types of content that you resonate with and shit like that, and you be happy as hell, like, finally, I feel like I ain't tripping. I feel like I ain't going crazy. So it's my duty to do this. You know what I'm saying? It's my duty to do this. I don't do this for no likes. I don't do it for no name or nothing. I never even ever, I've been doing this podcast shit for like 2 years. I have never even spoken my name on any of this shit. And that's just natural. Because it's like, and I don't have a problem saying my name and nothing like that, but okay, then what? Listen to the message. Forget about anything else. Hear the message. That's the problem. A lot of people, we want to worry about the message and don't want to listen to the message. That's why a lot of times, like, you find yourself probably trying to preach to people and shit like that. Let that shit go. Trust me. I learned, let it go. A lot of times you first start going through your spiritual awakening, you start waking up and expanding, and you starting to see new facets of yourself and new dimensions of life and shit like that, and you want everybody in your family to get it and stuff like that. You want everybody around you to get it. And you realize, like, they just numb to it. Let it go. Be real for the few. Because many are called, few are chosen, like they said. And that, I never really understood that till now, for real. Like, many are called, few are chosen. Meaning many people get the truth put right in their face, and then they choose to say, fuck, nah, hell no. Because if I fuck with that, then that mean I got to leave all of this worldly shit. It ain't going to be as juicy. I don't want to start getting to the truth and getting, because the truth, it reveals the true pain that's there. And it reveals the joy, though. But they both got to come as a package deal, though. You know what I'm saying? Got to come as a package deal. Can't just be one-sided. You feel me? We gotta get to a point we see shit holistically, and that's what a lot of us is striving for. But then it's a lot of us that's not, and those lot of us that's not, all them people that's not, it seem to be like they run shit to a certain extent. And I know like those of us that is expanding with the world, expanding with the universe, and being vessels for creation and shit like that, and individualism and stuff like that. I know we matter times 10, times 100. You feel me? I know our consciousness really make a difference. You feel me? And that's really why I'm saying, though, we got to make sure we not holding back. And you go through your stages. You're going to go through your stage to where because you don't want to speak about certain things. You worry about what certain people think. You still put emphasis on shit, on what other people think and stuff like that. But we got to just grow out of that and grow to a point where we get past that insecurity and stuff like that, and get to a space where we could just be ourselves, and just us being ourselves going by default encourage the next person with an actual soul, with an actual essence that has real beauty. Because like I said, it take one to know one. So when they see one, they're going to be like, all right, that's a reflection of me, and they are able to expand even more. I know they say it's strength in numbers. Yeah, but I feel like it's strength in dimensions. So it's strength in being multidimensional, not just being a crowd of people in one dimension, though. Not just being a whole bunch of brains that's on one wavelength in one dimension. We need to be on the same wavelength in multiple dimensions, though, within ourselves, and then outward, then each other. Because then we start to realize, like, oh, you, me, I'm you, consciously, on a conscious level, though. And you able to look at not just the thing in your face, you able to look with it, or you start to look at it so long or hard enough or deep enough till you could realize the origin of it. You could go back to the thought of when a person that invented it had the original thought to invent the shit. Shit like that. You ever look at something like, you just be sitting in your room, it's hot as hell, you under the air conditioner, you like, man, I wonder what the person that made the air conditioner was thinking. You be like, damn, first thing he probably was thinking is it's hot as hell. Like, it just started like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's hot as hell. You like, damn, what could I do to, and a fan is cool. Fans was already around. So the person must have been thinking, like, how can I take a fan and make it cooler and expand what a fan does? You feel me? Growth. Not, oh, okay, I got a fan. Okay, that's it. It can't get no cooler than this. So even after the person that think that it can't get no cooler been in climates that it was way colder than the climate they're currently in, or the season they're currently in. Even though they already experienced that in real life it could get cold, they don't think they might be capable of expanding a way of how to make a system or invent some shit to make it stay cooler, like an air conditioner. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. Like, it's like just letting your hardships go to waste. So I remember a time when I was living in this raggedy ass house, and but it was what I had at that time. So you see what I'm saying? We got appreciate shit when we got it too. It was all I had at that time, raggedy ass apartment. and a pipeline bust in the apartment, right? And nobody really could fix it. One of my mom friends, he was a mechanic. He wasn't just a mechanic, he just was an all-around handyman, like a real one though, like carpenter, really had real skills. And even he looked at it and was like, he couldn't really do nothing with it. It was the main line. He like, this, some shit the big boys gonna have to come through and do. And it was the winter time at that time, right? So let's fast forward. So I wound up having to stay in this apartment for 7 whole months with no running water. So I had to get outsourced to get water. So we had to get water from relatives, whoever was close, people's house, neighbors' house, put it in a bottle and shit like that. And we have to boil the water. Then we had to mix the water. So we got the boiling water with the cool water and mix it so it's at a certain temperature, stand in the tub, use a pitcher or whatever, you know what I mean? And soap yourself up, then rinse yourself off with some fresh water out of a bottle and shit like that. And then remember, the water not working. So you have to think and just be creative. So instead of letting the water that you use to wash up run down the tub, you block it and keep that so you can flush the toilet. So you just utilizing and you transforming what this water is for. First, you get the water in the bottle, then you changing the temperature of the water. You expanding it, because you're using something that's can be used just for drinking or just for washing up. You're using it for multiple things. Now you're using it. Get what I'm saying? I'm just trying to make the point of taking what you have and expanding this shit. But you got to be expanded first. So I look in this world and I just see people doing the same shit. When I see people just easily take what's given to them, when I see people just fall for the okie doke, fall for the propaganda, fall for the same storylines, I'm like, how? And how is so many of y'all and so few of us? But I get it, like, without this living in this type of world, I don't know if a lot of us would have came to this level of consciousness, you know what I'm saying, at this time. So it just be wondering. That's all I'm saying. I just be wondering. And oh, how I wish I could just really be numb to it sometimes. Like in the Matrix, I think bro name was Cypher or whatever. He was like, I just don't even want to see this shit no more. Just he said he snitched on everybody just so he could go back to being asleep and not realizing what the Matrix actually is. And on a subconscious level, I'm realizing, oh shit, people subconsciously strive to do that. Like I said before, I had people tell me like, man, I don't want to know all the dark shit in the world. I don't want to know the bad shit in the world. And I'm like, what they calling dark and bad is literally the truth. We got to call it truth the truth. We can't put a bad label on it, an evil label on it, and disregard it and not look into it because it's a variable. Meaning, it matters. You got to count it in. You got to factor it in for the whole. So when you neglect a certain side, it become your shadow. And I feel like just a lot of people that people might consider soulless or NPCs, they just not aware on a large degree of their shadow. And I've heard other people speak on how certain people consciousness is only created for like a limited amount of things and they don't have the ability to grow. And I ain't really truly willing to believe that, even though there's so much evidence showing me otherwise. So I just stay in the middle like a scientist. Like I'm like, yo, cause so when I meet people, I treat them with compassion. I check you know what I'm saying? I try to meet them where they at, and then let's see if we can expand. If not, then you just might have to stay my mechanic. You just might have to stay the person that hand me my coffee at the workshop and shit like that, and our relationship never go further because maybe it's not supposed to, but maybe it can't. Maybe we have nothing to offer each other for real. But I go into this shit genuinely. I don't never want to be one of the people that just walk around like, yo, people just idiots and shit like that. Because I really believe, like, I try to believe, like, yeah, people really got a heart, people got a soul, and people could grow. You know what I mean? And I think if we stay in that area and don't get bitter and I'm talking about those of us that are spiritually awakening and starting to see this matrix for what it is. And we stay right there. I think we stay neutral, we stay fair, we stay humble like that. I hear a lot of people just call, oh, they soulless, all they NPCs and they bots and fuck them and they could just die and shit like that. I'm like, nah, I can't say that, because what if one of these soulless beings or these NPCs or bots or whatever you want to call them, what if that's somebody, what if that's a real person with a real soul that's really going to expand the world? What if that's their mother or something like that, and that's going to affect them too? So I look at how people matter. The person that bag your groceries at the grocery store, yeah, they matter. Their life serve a purpose. I'm just saying, some people's purpose is very limited. Very limited. Like, their functions is very, very narrow. Like, it's not a wide range of actions, reactions, responses, decisions, behaviors, thought patterns, you know what I mean? Depth of feeling, shit like that, depth of connection. And that's what I think I'm really trying to get to. Like, that makes for lack of connection. So even like earlier when I talk about the people that went to elementary school, then they went to high school, then they went to college all together, then they was in each other's weddings, then they the godfathers to each other's kids and shit like that. And they kind of stayed in the same realm or whatever, of consciousness. Even for them, like I said, they still stay in a stage of limitation. I think that was the point I was making. I kind of forgot a little bit. But I'm really just driving home the same point, but just trying to, give a perspective on how I see it, period. You know what I mean? How it's experienced on a day-to-day. So, on a day-to-day, you probably going to work, you probably going to do your thing, you go outside, you go work out, you do things to build. You on a journey, you on an actual journey, like, so the version of yourself now, you see a different version, a more activated version, a more version that get more busy and could speak your mind and more confident, more stronger, more fit, or whatever your goals is, and you work towards that and chip away at that every day by any means necessary, and that's the ultimate goal: expansion in all facets of your life. You want to expand. Even if you're on a so-called negative side of the polarity at the moment, because we all go through shit and everything is to shape us and to carve us into more activated versions of ourselves, more expanded versions of ourselves. So even when you're on a negative polarity and you're not liking your experience, you still should have the awareness like, all right, it's still an experience. So it's still an experiment, and it's still something I could come up with, I could expand through. A lot of times we expand through the pain. That's where our beauty come from the pain, from the shit that we felt, from the shit that we really saw, from the shit that actually affected us. You feel me? It's all for, I feel like it's all for one thing. Like getting your heart broke. To me, okay, you get your heart broke, it kind of break it open to expand it though. And I'm somebody that went through the stages of truly like going through heartbreak, and to the point you feel like your heart get cold and you don't have no empathy for other people. You can't connect and shit like that. I've been through that, and I got a lot of wisdom and a lot of knowledge through that to understand it made me understand the value of the heart, the importance of the heart, what the heart is, the effects the heart can have on other people and stuff like that. The power of the heart. I wouldn't have understanding it just running around trying to give it away to every chick I meet. You feel what I'm saying? I had to go give it to the wrong person and be blind to it so that it could expand my awareness. Like, yo, you can't be playing with something that's valuable. It's so valuable. It's so valuable that when your heart got broken and got cold and you ain't have it pumping how I used to no more, you realize how much it was worth, how much you missed it, and how much you needed. And a lot of people get their heart broken, then they stay heartbroken, and they stay mad, and they stay resentful and want revenge and all kind of shit and wish bad on people and all that kind of shit. Nah, those of us that's going to expand, we take that lick and we be like, oh, all right, it is what it is. It hurt. It's confusing. I feel neglected. It happened. But we take it and it turned into the best, most priceless jewel that we could ever ask for in our lives. And that just take me to the saying, you never know the fortune and the misfortune. So when you're dealing with a misfortune, you never know the fortunate knowledge or wisdom or things that's going to help you once again expand. You never know. And when you get a fortune, you never know what misfortune going to come with that, because it got to come together. It's a package deal. And that's why when you striving to live a holistic life, you realize, man, the purpose of life is just to engage with it all. Even the bots. Even the bots. But I ain't gonna lie, some days I feel like talking about things like this, you just be talking to a brick wall. But still, like I said, still got the urge to learn, still got the urge to grow, and still got the urge to speak and express these thoughts and feelings. That's what I feel like we're here for. We're here to report our experiences in some type of way. Some people do it through music, through movies, through dancing, but we all have to be able to express. But we living in a world where people suppress and they being oppressed and then they wind up depressed. You get what I'm saying? And not being able to get through their depression and and expand and have a wider perspective and shit like that, and not be like, man, what are we doing? What are we doing out here? So then you learn the lesson. You learn to zigzag around non-expansive people, and you deal with things and you deal with people accordingly. Like, for example, like certain jobs just don't have an expansion level. Like, always, you might work a little minimal job when you're younger or when you have to or whatever the case may be, but you know that it's a certain ceiling on that job. You know it's not there to, and it might be for one use. It might just be for you to pay your bills or pay for you to express your purpose or buy you some time or whatever the case may be. But you're not under the illusion that you about to, sky's the limit at a fast food restaurant. You know it's very limited there. You know what I mean? And like most people that work there are very limited. I'm somebody that used to work at a fast food restaurant. I knew it was for a little while. I find myself in that fast food restaurant still talking about concepts such as these, like experiences like this, talking about expansive shit, and people looking at me like I got 5 heads. And I just start to realize through experience, like, wow, my whole life, it's just been everywhere you go. Everybody is just same movements, different faces, really. But it just be up to you to make the experience mean something. To find meaning in the suffering. That's it. And I feel like that's what make you beautiful. You know what I mean? Not because you got, the scars make you beautiful. Because they're unique scars. Because they're not just scars, but they're unique. They're yours. And if you have a expanded story about those scars, then you got something to say. Meaning, I fell and got this scar right here, and that's not the end of the story. You start talking about, the reason why I fell because I was doing this, that, and the third, and I thought I should have did this, but this happened, and then now the story expands to, but now I realize as time went on, so on and so on. You start to realize, it seemed to be that I fell because of this, but here go 10 other reasons why I changed the meaning to that and used this one scar in many dimensions. So that I don't have to go through the same pain again. So I don't have to bump into the same dead end again. And I just know too many people that's staying with the familiar, staying with the limitations, standing up for it, defending it. That's another thing. People defend their ignorance. And then that's a deep, deep level of illusion. It's a very deep level of illusion. And my whole thing be, man, make your experience something. Turn that pain and that passion, turn that shit into some type of purpose. Because other than that, you're just gonna be living a real mediocre life. And for some of us, we know, like, we just know it could never be us. Now, don't get it fucked up. Neither, like, we gotta be careful to, like I said, what your version of success is. You gotta be okay with the fact that your brother or your sister or something, they idea of success might be reaching the highest pinnacle within a matrix or business or whatever the case may be. And your level of success might be coming to spiritual realizations because that's your purpose. You feel what I'm saying? But sometimes we'll get feeling like, damn, we should have and do what everybody else do. And we could, but we just can't have the same, we're not doing it for the same reasons. And like I said, some people want what they want, and it's not truly from them. It's not because they lack essence. So they don't know what they want. They just want what the world says is valuable. They just do what the trend is. They just wear whatever is in style right now. They don't never take a risk. They don't never jump outside the box. And for that, their experience is very limited. And for that, they have like very limited amount of anything to offer you. You feel me? And it's just numb. Like, it's just like the world is numb. I don't know. And you can really feel like no one understands my beauty.